Alright, so what's up YouTube? Welcome back to another video. So today's video, I wanted to talk over about the 5 common mistakes that I see a lot of the time people doing with their training sessions. Now, we want to try and make sure, of course, nutrition is the main factor that we want to look at when it comes down to, reaching our maximum potential and our maximum results, whether it be weight loss or muscle gaining, whatever our goal that we're trying to achieve. Nutrition is always one of the key factors that we need to implement into our program. But at the same time, we need to look at our training. We need to look at training exercises, training splits, training programs and certain exercises, and execute the exercises, with full effect. So meaning we need to perform an exercise efficiently so that we're getting the maximum results out of that given exercise. So this video, what I want to do is I want to show my 5 mistakes that I see a lot of people doing with their training, and then you can take this video away, have a look at what you're doing and see if you are doing any of these mistakes, and maybe make the change and see some better results within your training and within your progress. But before we get into this video, cue the intro. Straight into this video with the first mistake that I see, and this is the very basic one. So I want to start off with the basic, and then I'm going to move into the more scientific mistakes that you see nowadays in this industry. And the very first mistake that I see is people overcomplicating everything. When people going into the gym, they pick an exercise and they try and change it around. They try and target a different muscle group, or they try and change the angles and the variations and the technique, and they just make it more stressful for themselves. And not just that, what you have to take in consideration is if you have somebody else within that gym that's next to you, they're going to look over their shoulder and then they're going to start questioning themselves and their training and saying, should I be doing the basics and just sticking to the foundation fundamental exercises, or should I be doing what this guy's doing, And it confuses them, and then it confuses yourself at the same time, and then everybody just gets confused and stressed and they just don't know what to do, and it's a domino effect. Don't go onto a chest press machine and try and do rear delts. Don't go onto a back exercise and try and target your shoulders. A back exercise is for your back. Stop trying to use other pieces of equipment to target different muscle groups that it shouldn't be targeting. It's a shame, but it's something that's a part of this industry at the moment, where we're seeing more and more people doing overcomplicated exercises, especially on social media. Now there's like these Instagram pages for more entertainment reasons of watching people failing doing exercises or performing an exercise completely wrong or doing it in a completely wrong fashion. So try and stay away from watching these videos and stop looking at other people around you and yourself. Stop trying to overcomplicate the exercise. Stop trying to make your own little twist and your own variation to an exercise. Just stick to the foundation, stick to the basic principle. If you try and do different techniques and different form and different variations, you, one, make it stressful for yourself, you confuse everybody else around you, and you're more likely to put your body at risk of an injury or a tear, and that's just going to hinder your results. So the second mistake that I'm seeing is so many people going into the gym and they're just executing an exercise. They're not perfecting their performance. So what I mean by this is, if we want to progress, we need to make sure that we focus on regression first of all. So we need to look at things like our mobility, flexibility, our stabilization, our balance, our technique, our form. All these sorts of things need to come in play to make sure that we can actually progress. So if somebody's just going to go and do a squat, if they put the weight on and then they go under the bar and they go down to do a squat and then they just drop, they have no control of that weight. I always say that we want to be in control of the weight. Don't let the weight or the exercise be in control of you. So if you're not being able to control that weight for that squat through that full range of motion, are you really maximizing your full potential of optimizing maximum activation in that muscle, mind-to-muscle connection, and actually recruiting maximum muscle fibers? Probably not, because you're not getting that perfect technique. So I would always say focus on regression first. So when I mean by regression, it's perfecting the exercise so that you can work with it efficiently. That way, when it comes to actually trying to progress, you're going to have better mind and muscle connection, you're going to have better form, better mobility, better range of motion, better stabilization. Therefore, you're going to recruit maximum muscle fibers and you're going to stimulate hypertrophy. You're going to optimize protein synthesis. You're going to build that lactic acid. All these different factors come into play to help us progress and get better results. So make sure you don't just go into one given exercise and just think, right, if I just lift A to B or just move A to B, that's going to do the job. That's going to, you know, break down my muscles and that's going to make me become bigger and stronger and make me get the results. That's not the case. We need to make sure that we perfect our exercises so we can perform them more efficiently. Third tip. We can kind of split this into two, but what I'm seeing a lot of people doing nowadays, and the big mistake is more people doing more volume, so higher volume and less intensity and less frequency. So what I mean by higher volume is people going into the gym nowadays and they're doing sets on sets on sets. I'm seeing people doing like 5 to 6 sets each exercise and doing up to like 5 to 6 exercises at the same time. The amount of sets, amounts of reps that and volume altogether that you're doing in one training session is just way too much. And if you're doing that much volume, I can guarantee you're not giving 110% with your intensity. You're not being able to go to, you know, your maximum loads of 75% of your 1 RM or higher to cause that mechanical stress, which again is going to equal to muscle growth and it's going to stimulate hypertrophy. You know, so we want to make sure that we cut down that volume and focus more in intensity and also frequency. So what I mean by frequency is being able to train a muscle more than once a week. And at the same time, what you can do is if you lower the volume down, so do less repetitions and less sets, you can increase your intensity. So you can go heavier on your loads, you can go heavier on certain exercises, and that's going to cause that mechanical stress. But then at the same time, you can cover all rep ranges and work from the 4 to 8 rep range, which is going to cause mechanical stress, and then push it up towards the end to go out to fatigue and failure and do the 10 to 12 repetitions, and that's going to cause metabolic stress. That way we're covering all mechanisms of stimulating hypertrophy and muscle growth at the same time. So try and lower your volume and focus on more intensity and more frequency. Alright, so the next mistake that I'm seeing is nobody's looking at all the mechanisms of muscle growth and stimulating hypertrophy. So we need to make sure that we cover every single mechanism of muscle growth. Now, I've already done a video before about the mechanisms of muscle growth, so I'm not going to go into great detail of each individual mechanism in this video, but if you want to check out the mechanisms of muscle growth and, you know, the stimulus of stimulating hypertrophy, check out the previous video. The eyes just popped up there. You can click on there, or also the link will be in the description. That will give you a better understanding of the mechanisms of muscle growth. However, just to break it down for you guys that are wondering, the mechanisms of muscle growth is mechanical stress, metabolic stress and muscle swelling. So we need to make sure that we're implementing every single mechanism of muscle growth, because that way we're going to cover every single angle to stimulate more hypertrophy, and at the same time this is going to make sure that we recruit maximum muscle fibers, so therefore the muscles are going to grow back bigger and stronger, so we're going to see better results. And the last mistake that I'm seeing is too many people are picking the wrong pieces of equipment or the wrong exercises. So again, this comes down to social media and what people see across YouTube or on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or wherever it may be, where somebody's saying they're a big advocate of doing, you know, the compound movements or this exercise or that exercise, and then that person then believes that they have to do that same exercise. Now, we don't all have to be married to the exact same exercises. So what I mean by that is we don't all have to perform a squat, a deadlift or a bench press. We need to listen to our mechanics. So we need to listen to our biomechanics and how our body works and how it moves with different exercises. So one individual may be able to perform a great squat and get great development in their thighs, but then the next person might be able to do squats, have great range of motion and great mobility, but the only issue is they're not getting good development in their thighs. That person probably doesn't have the mechanics to execute and perform the exercise, so they don't have to be married to it as well. But selecting a different variation of the squat that's going to suit and benefit their biomechanics, therefore they're going to be able to perform the exercise more efficiently, they're going to get a better mind and muscle connection, they're going to get maximum contraction and maximum muscle fiber recruitment, and actually get better overall development in that muscle that they're trying to train. So don't stick to one exercise that you see either your idol or someone that you're training with doing. Look at what your mechanics are and see what exercises work with them. How to do that is by playing around with exercises. So go into the gym and try a squat. If you feel like you're not developing your thighs through squats, maybe that then means you need to start looking at different variations. Maybe you want to start moving on to the V squat or a hat squat and give that a try. Select one of those different variations of the squats, give it a go for 6 to 8 weeks. If you then see development within your thighs, then you know that your mechanics work with that exercise. If it doesn't, then you change it again. We don't all need to be sticking to the same exercises. So don't always believe just because Arnold did incline bench press that we all have to do incline bench press to develop our overall pectoral minor or pectoral major. Or if Ronnie's doing leg press and squats for 800 pounds to get those massive thighs, that we have to do leg press and squats. We have to find and listen to our biomechanics and find out what exercises work best for our body and our biomechanics. So if this video did help you out and you feel like you learned something from it, please give this video a big thumbs up for me. I always say that, you know, it does really help if you give a thumbs up on this video. Also, don't forget as well, drop a comment down below if you want to ask any questions, or if you feel like there's something you want to input on this video on what you think some of the mistakes that you are seeing within your gym. I always like to read your messages and I always like to respond to them, so do make sure that you drop a message. Don't go off without doing it. I know a lot of people always say they watch the videos but they don't drop a comment. You know, get involved, interact with myself and everybody else that's interacting on these videos. Share it with all your friends. If you haven't yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, please click that subscribe button. It does mean a lot to me, and I'll see you all on that next video. And as always guys, make sure that you stay safe, maximize your training sessions and make it happen. Peace.